Good damn morning, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Get over to jerichogreen.net. $3.99 monthly sub. Once a week, I do exclusive videos you will only find there. jerichogreen.net. Now, folks, the world is literally becoming unhinged. Supply chains are breaking down and the critical shortages are showing up left and right. People can sense that the other shoe is about to drop. They're ordering emergency food like crazy, which means you should too before you can't get any. I'm talking about the high quality emergency food you get from My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's leading preparedness company, and they've served millions of American families. Now they want to help you by giving you $100 off their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. The food stays fresh for up to 25 years in proper storage, so it will be there when you need it. And the meals in the food kit average over 2,000 calories per day. So don't wait. Go to preparewithjericho.com and claim your 3-month emergency food kit while you still can. You'll save $100 per kit if you act now. That's preparewithjericho.com. There continues to be a surge of orders. Make sure yours is one of them. Preparewithjericho.com. Now, before I get all up in this topic, like a bike with no seat, I want to give a very special birthday shout out to my girl, Keely. SoCal, happy birthday. Now, I want you to have lots of fun like the responsible young lady that I'm sure you are. Shout out to your folks. And you know what, kids? I remember what it was like. I know I'm getting up there in age. I'm going to be celebrating my 41st birthday next week. Shout out to the Scorpios. But I do remember when I was a young man and my parents, it was almost like they were being paid to ruin my life. They were being monetarily compensated to cramp my style. Always telling me, be careful. Don't go over there. Who you going to be with? What time you going to be home? No, you can't do that. I don't know their parents. All that uncool parental shit they used to always do to me. But you know what I learned? You know what I figured out? They did it for my own good. Turns out they loved me and they only wanted the best for me. Can you believe that? It's true. So I know it gets annoying. I remember, and the first time I've ever said this, I know my mom watches my videos, but they used to tell me the same shit so much that I would, of course, with my back turned where they couldn't see me, I would mouth the words of what they were telling me. That's how many times I heard it. But like I said, they love me. They were right. Don't tell them, Keely. Keep that one to yourself. Don't ever let them know that they were right. But it's true. They want the best for you. Have a happy birthday. And oh, yes, P.S. Keely, we know you got a 203. Now, let's get into it, people. So, McDonald's, their CEO is in a bit of trouble. Now, why would the CEO of McDonald's be in trouble? Of course, guys, he's a racist. You know that. If nothing else, he's a racist. So, the CEO of McDonald's, Chris Kempczynski, I think it is. We'll just call him Chris. He had a meeting with Lori Lightweight, Mayor Splinter, mayor of the rattiest city in America, 7 years in a row. Beetlejuice, I call her the sloth from Ice Age. She went on a tour or whatever of the McDonald's headquarters. Side note, why is the mayor of one of the most violent cities in the country, who she declared racism was a public health hazard? So you have a public health hazard and violence running rampant through your city, but you have time to go to the Mickey D's headquarters. Okay, how do Chicagoans feel about that? So after her meeting, I imagine they were talking about the violence in Chicago because that's what Chicago does, America's shooting range. They were talking about the violence, and he sends her a text message, and it says he was talking specifically about that kid, Adam Toledo, little Diablo, who was out 2 o'clock in the morning, 13 years old, with a gun, pulling it out when the police were there. Or he was turning around and he had the gun in his hand. He got shot. That's the kid that Lori Lightweight cried about. Fast forward a couple months or so, this little 7-year-old girl was assassinated because of her sorry-ass parents in a McDonald's drive-thru. The little 7-year-old girl, think for a second how small a 7-year-old girl is. She was shot 6 times in her chest while she sat in the back seat with her sorry-ass daddy. So what he did was he sent her a text message and said, those parents failed those kids. He said, I know you can't say it, but they failed them. So remember, he is being called a racist. He's being dragged through the streets of public opinion for saying this. He's being called a racist. But her reply to that, this is the mayor who declared racism a public health hazard. This is a problem. So when this racist sent her that racist text message, guess what her reply was? Thanks, Chris. She went on to say other things, but the beginning and end of her response was, thanks, Chris, blah, blah, blah. And then she ended with, again, thanks, Chris. So the woman whose eyes are open, and they are some big, disgusting eyes. She got those, I'm gonna start calling her Steve Buscemi. She got those Steve Buscemi eyes, and they are wide open looking for racism, which is a public health hazard in her city. Racism is creeping and bleeding into everything. Remember, on her 2-year anniversary as mayor, she had only black reporters in there. That's how bad it is. She feels a need to uplift them and give them a hand. But when this racist sent her the racist text, all she said was, thanks, Chris. So either her racism radar was shut off, or it's a bunch of bullshit. So of course, and again, I'm going to tell you what happened in Chicago because of this racist, but she didn't step in to help him. She replied to the racist text message. Someone who's on the lookout for racism. So she thanks him for it. So apparently, I guess it wasn't that damn racist. And so people had a protest at a McDonald's. And here's my question. So you guys wait. They're out there protesting also not only for what he said, but they were out there fighting for $15 an hour. Because if you work at McDonald's, you deserve $15 an hour. So they're out there fighting for that, pissed off at him because he's racist. Here's my question. Why aren't you out there protesting because it's McDonald's? Because it's shit food. They're on every corner in your neighborhood. Why don't you protest them for that? I'm just saying. But they're out there protesting for that, and they say the victim shaming has to stop. Him saying that those parents failed their kids, which they did. Adam Toledo was out there at 2 a.m, 13 years old with a gun. Failed. He's been failed by his parents, or let's be honest, his mama. Because she was probably the only one around. And Jackson Adams, she was failed by both her parents. First, being failed by her mother by laying down and letting that sorry-ass gangbanger go inside of her. That's failure number 1. Failure number 2, she was spending time with said gang member who was shot at because of gang shit. I think he pissed on the gravesite of his rival. So they came looking for revenge during his daddy-daughter time. So yeah, her parents failed her too, so the CEO of McDonald's was right. But when you talk about people negatively, or you judge somebody negatively, and they're too low on the color chart, they're below the midline, you're automatically racist. So now, any criticism whatsoever of anybody who's darker than a sheet of paper is racism. Bullshit. So they're out there complaining about that. He's a racist. Here's also where he didn't mess up. Here's where he did mess up. He apologized. Of course, I was insensitive. I was looking at it through the prism of a parent, which you should. And I didn't take into account their situation. I've never walked in their shoes. You bitch. You need to be called, they need to have a new hamburger called the McBitch. Because that's what you are for apologizing to these idiots. What are you talking about? Don't judge us. Look, I am so fucking sick of people talking about don't judge. Shut your mouth. Shut that hole under your nose. Our society is built on judgment. We have people with damn near ultimate power in our justice system called judges. That's why when you go past the car lot, all the cars are shiny and new because you're judging them first based on their appearance. When you're dating, you judge them first based on their appearance, or you judge the way they carry themselves. You judge the way they smell. It's all about judgment. So shut the fuck up. Oh, I don't judge people. No judgment here. Judgment is everywhere. You know better than everybody else. Oh, bullshit. Victim shaming. He's not shaming the victim. The victims were the people who were killed, not their parents. Like their parents give a shit. If you gave a shit about your kid, you wouldn't have him out at 2 a.m. and you wouldn't have gotten pregnant by a gangbanger. Don't act like you give a fuck about those kids now. I care more about those kids than their parents do. Bunch of bullshit. He's racist. How? Did he say that little black this and that? Or that little Mexican this and that? No. So where's the racism? Well, apparently, like I said, if you criticize somebody who's darker than a sheet of paper, you are a racist. You guys, let's go back in time. Let's hop inside the time travel capsule and go back to a time where calling somebody racist really meant something. That was a real insult. That was a hurtful thing to say to someone. Not anymore. Now it's just like the word the or an, if, is, racist. You throw that shit around all the time. It means nothing now. And it should. Because racism is a bad thing. We had a whole movement to fight it. Which, if you ask these dumbasses, did nothing. So now McDonald's CEO is racist for speaking the truth. That is true. You did fail those children. That's your fault that they're dead. But it was so racist that a mayor that declared that racism was a public health hazard in her own city didn't even see the racism in it. Stop this shit. Let me get over here and wrap up my state mandated meal period. The only good thing California's giving me. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Utilize the Linktree link. Get your ass over to JerichoGreen.net. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.